Let's get on with today's kind of conversation. I'm going to be talking about the 5 Ds of systems and how I view systems as I work with people. And I touched on some of these topics before, and the idea is I'm going to explain what they are. I'm also going to talk about what the 5th dimension is, because the 5th dimension is the one that not many system designers think about, but it is really important for people who aren't as nerdy like us to be able to consider this when working with clients or working with ourselves and just giving ourselves a little bit of permission. Then I'm going to kind of give a few real examples of how the 5th dimension actually works. And then at the end, we're probably going to do like a musical outro where I won't blow everyone's eardrums. I hope you're all well. So let's get started. So, what are the 5 dimensions of systems, and what does that mean for you, either as a system designer for clients or as a person who wants to get more things done? Danny's just put, don't listen to the nerds. No, I won't listen to you, Danny. That's pretty much how I live my life right now, is not listening to you. Anyway, going back to what I was saying, the 5 dimensions of systems. We all know that there are 3 dimensions in this world, and actually there are 4. Well, I believe there are 4 anyway. There are 4 dimensions that we know about, like scientifically. And also, not a scientist, I'm just a nerd. A real hyper nerd. No, not with that. No, not with that 5-minute chat. No, it's never a 5-minute chat. That was the biggest lie I think you've ever told. Going back to what I was saying. So we have 3D, 3 dimensions we all know about that, and as it equates to systems, it's kind of the traditional way of looking at things. It's like your tasks, it's like your projects, and all of those boring things that just everybody talks about, the productivity and figuring stuff out. The 4th dimension is time. Now, I have separated time from the system itself because for some people, time doesn't necessarily matter because deadlines don't necessarily have to be used all the time, and sometimes they're useless. Deadlines are just arbitrary rules we set ourselves. So that addition of time is the 4th dimension, which is kind of, I think, what scientists are talking about now, that there's 4 dimensions of time, with time as well. And so that so far is pretty easy, pretty understandable. The 5th dimension is the one that nearly everybody misses, or many people miss, whether it comes to their own or other people's. It's empathy and understanding. Understanding and empathy with yourself if it's your system, or with your clients if it's their systems. So what do I mean by empathy? Well, empathy is caring for the person and allowing and giving permission and space for that. Giving space in your system, as I've said before, is really important, and it's an aspect of empathy. If we do not have this 5th dimension, we are literally slamming our heads against our system. We are literally just spending all our time yelling at ourselves that we are not good enough, that we are not doing enough, that we are not reacting in the right way and doing things the way we should. Without empathy, that's what we deal with. We deal with that feeling of, I don't really want to open Notion today. I don't really want to open Trello or Asana, because all it's going to do is just yell at me and tell me all the reasons why I'm not doing what I should be. That I'm not doing what I should be. So implementing empathy into your systems will mean that the system is set up for success. All a system is what you do. And if it helps you to do what you do, then it's helpful. So having that understanding, that emotion, because we are, no matter what, we're not robots. Systems are treated as binary. Either you do things or you don't. And to a certain degree, that's true. But that's not actually going to help you to develop and improve as a human being, as a business owner, or wherever you may be wanting to implement systems. So by starting to add empathy and aspects of empathy into what you do, it will help your system to support you better. Okay, so I've blithered on about empathy, and I've said that so many times so far in this last 3-minute segment. I don't even know how many times I've said empathy already. There's one more, just in case you didn't know. I'm talking about the 5th dimension is empathy. And so what does that mean? What does that actually practically mean? Because empathy is a little bit of a wooey, top of the weirdness and a bit like, well, duh, I need to care, whatever. What does that actually mean? It means, for me, my perspective, it means a number of things. One, it's space. It's giving you, your system, space, and giving you space. We were talking about deadlines earlier. I have worked with many clients where we're talking about like how to organize your time, and fourth dimension there. And when I kept assigning tasks on due dates that were needing to be done, it was never met because this person had other things that they were working on, other things they had to think about. They were thinking of like hundreds of different things. Hello, William. It's nice to see you. I am very excited to be live again. We're talking about the 5 Ds of systems. And so when I was working with that client, I then expanded how we managed time in his system to be empathetic on how he worked best. He needed a little bit of movement. He needed a solid deadline, but he needed the space before that to help him actually get his head around where he needed to move. And that's incredibly important. If you have just hard, solid deadlines, people may struggle. Clients of yours may struggle, or you may struggle if you stick with hard, solid deadlines. For me, the things that I do in my system is I have it shows me the actual time it will take and how long until the deadline actually stands. So I don't need the beginning task here and task there. Just by seeing that it's like 4 weeks and 3 days before I have to finish this deadline of a task or a project, gives me that capacity to go, okay, so I actually need to start working on it here, and then I need to make sure this piece is done here, etc., etc. Another thing that it gives you by adding empathy into your system is the permission slips. Like, we as business owners or entrepreneurs or whatever you want to call it are consistently being bombarded by things we should do. Your system can give you permission to just step back, to go, whoa there, I can't do all these things. It's the permission slip to go, oh, okay, I've actually done quite a bit here. Right, okay, so that's okay. I don't need to do more. How many people that are with me now have you experienced where you're just like, I always need to be doing more and more and more and more and more. And so without like a system around you, you just keep doing more things. More and more and more and more. And then all of a sudden you're just like, why am I so tired? I just don't want to do anything. And it leads to burnout. So Lizzie's just put, but if you don't, there we go. But if you don't do deadlines, then you cannot take another project. Yes, precisely. That is perfect. That's a really good example of what I'm saying with the permission slips. If you don't have deadlines, it disappeared. That's cool. Didn't realize it can do that. Stay there, thank you. I haven't finished yet. But if you do deadlines, then you cannot take another project. And that's the permission slip. You see that there are things with deadlines. So you use deadlines in your space and give yourself space with your deadlines to know what's happening. And then the permission slip to go, hey, I am already doing too much. Because let's be real, running a business is frickin' hard. I don't care who you are, what industry you might be in. It is just flippin' hard to run a business on your own. It's flippin' hard to run a business even with people around you. Homesick Max just put, yes, I always have that feeling. Do more, do more, do more. But I don't get tired, just inspired. I love that. And the cool thing is that when you work within yourself and how you work and do the things you love, you will be able to keep going. Danny, another point, energy management right there, rest and recover. Precisely. If you do not have the capacity to see that, then you won't do it because you just feel you have to keep going because we always want to do more. Energy management, rest and recover, permission to rest, permission to recover. because we're constantly having plastered in our faces by society and systems and gurus of like, you should be posting 30 times a day. You should be doing this and this and this and this and this and this and this. And that's all you get told. You very rarely get told to rest. Thankfully, that's coming back in. Finally, it's just coming back where people are going, hang on a minute. I want to rest now. I want to stop. Give myself permission to stop. Then we kind of move on to adaptability and flexibility. Because sometimes, as Danny so wonderfully put, if you're in that context, it depends. Everything is dependent on what's happening for you right now. And often with traditional productivity systems, all it's about is like, just get all these things done. Just have it the same way all the time. It's one way of working. It's one way of doing things. And you just always have to do it like that. The power of tools like Notion and Roam and Obsidian is that they are flexible. They adapt and mold around you. This all links back to empathy, understanding, knowing your boundaries, knowing how you work, and then adapting and tweaking your system around you and your boundaries. Empathy, understanding how you actually work. It is the secret to productivity. Empathy and understanding. It genuinely is that simple. It's beautiful. I love it. Leading swiftly on to my final point of how to add this in and what it involves. Empathy is about understanding of your own struggles and the system being prepared to help you with that. I touched on this earlier when I was talking about how in my Notion space, when I have a deadline, it will tell me how many days, weeks, and I think months, it will take for me to complete this task and when it has to be done by. So when I do need a deadline, when I'm working on a client launch and I need to know how long it is, it will show me visually, because I look at a date and think, cool, that's in August. I'm still in July. I've got a whole month. No, I don't. I have 3 weeks. But I don't see that. That's my struggle. Time blindness. Yay. Task for a month or project. Well, that's, once again, going back to adaptability and flexibility. That's up to you. You can have a task, and actually it's a project in my eyes when I was thinking about it. It was a project. But some people use tasks. And only use tasks because a project is too much, because that extra layer on top confuses them. And how we design projects in the first place. What is a project? What defines a project? For one client, a project is a client, because they work on it for a certain amount of time and then they do the next month and the next month, but it's an ongoing project. For me, I like having my projects in different boxes. I like having that box, and so I can zoom in and out on the things that I'm working on. But it's about understanding how you work and where you struggle and what you struggle with, and creating strategies in place to help you do that. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean it all has to be one massive system or one massive thing or one massive this or that. It's about really understanding and starting to understand you. The hard part of this is that you've got to get very subjective and clear about how you work already. Productivity very rarely talks about where you are now, what you're doing now, how you're feeling now. Going back to what Danny was saying earlier about energy management. What does energy feel to you? Yeah, so Danny's just put, action management requires explicit explanations. Know what a task is to you. Exactly. And that is going back to both adaptability, flexibility, understanding of your struggles and helping you and supporting you. Permission slips. Permission to understand what that means. Hey, Kim. Nice to see you. And so, what does this mean? What does this mean for you as a business owner? What is that? What does it mean for you as a system designer? Because we have some lovely system people in here already. It means taking the time to understand your client. Whether that client is you, yourself, it's about understanding where their needs are, meeting them where they are now, meeting you where you are right now, instead of necessarily where you want to be. Because as your system grows and as you reach to the point where you are now, and moving a little bit forward and a little bit forward and a little bit further forward and a little bit further forward, and as you move forward because you can adapt and be flexible and being able to manage where you are now, you're able to develop that empathy with yourself or with your client or whoever it might be. And the system and you can communicate, because it's not binary. We are not binary people. We are a complex system in ourselves. Sometimes we need more sleep. Sometimes we need less sleep. Difficult, I find. The most difficult I find it when I see it. I see what they need, but they don't yet. So that's where and that's a very common problem, where you can see what they need, but they don't see. So that's a place of where you go, okay, so meeting them where they are now. What do they say they're struggling with? Because with a system, it's not as simple as a straight line from 0 to 1. It's not ready and not ready. It is, whereabouts are you in this line of productivity? What is burning? What house is burning down for you right now? And it's about really placing yourself in the position where you can help them reach here, so that they then can start to see more of what they need. So that they can start to see what they need more, and helping them to connect the dots. Yeah, you can lead them to what they need, not the sneaky selling way, but honestly and by listening. It shows. It shows. Yeah, you can lead them to what they need. That's the cool thing. You meet them where they are and take them where they need to be. What makes it a line of productivity? I thought there were 5 dimensions. There are 5 dimensions, Danny boy. There are 5 dimensions, but it is often viewed as binary. Trust you. Disappear. Magic. Hello, see. But that's what most people think with digital products, that they push one button and everything is solved. Yeah, and so it's up to you as a leader, if you wish to become that leader, that you will continue to explain to them that this doesn't solve everything. Because it doesn't. Because, to be honest, it's too complicated. And as someone who designs systems, it's up to us as systems designers to create content like this, talking about it. It's about education. It's about support. It's about being there and understanding and giving empathy as a system designer. And as a business owner, it's giving yourself empathy and understanding of going, okay, there's not anything wrong with me. I'm okay. I'm okay where I am. And I can move forward. I just need a little bit of support. It's not the fact that you're broken and you need to just fix your productivity. You need to stop procrastinating and just punch yourself against a wall. That's the traditional 3/4 Ds of systems. When you add the 5th dimension of empathy, you create a system that is sustainable far much longer term. It just takes that little bit of extra time. So I would love, if you have any questions and want me to kind of dive into anything in particular. Sensible questions, Danny. Ideally. If you have any questions on this, I'd love to answer your questions. Please put a Q at the beginning, because I'm a pro to say that, so I can find the questions really quickly in between the chatties. Otherwise, I will do a quick summary, and then then go away and let you get back to your day of multitasking and... Oh, look at this. Yes. Multitasking is a myth. It is a myth. It is. I really do believe that it is a myth. But it depends on cognitive... We have a bunch of flipping nerds in the chat, and I absolutely love it. Why is your green light hidden? Because my arse is in the way. Pretty much. Because I was able to set this up just in time. Thanks for your incredibly enlightening conversations about the 5 dimensions of systems. Cheers, Danny. Always appreciate your thoughts. Okay, so I'm going to start wrapping up. If another question comes in, I will bring that back in. But for now, I'd love to hear... Ooh. If you cannot find the empathy with your client, can you work with them? No. That's a tough one. There's a whole much deeper answer there. But a simple answer is no. If you can't find empathy with your client, if there is not that connection, it becomes harder to support. It becomes harder to be a support to them because things like that are hard and tough and difficult to face, and you need to be there on the journey. But just because you can't empathize doesn't necessarily mean you can't work with a client. You just have to focus on another aspect. To be a well-rounded system designer, you need to have empathy for your clients. If you can't find empathy with your clients, be a builder. Build for your clients. Let someone else manage the empathy, the feeling, the emotion, that stuff that you find really hard. And you focus on the building because that is tactical, that is tactile and works for you. It's about understanding where your struggles are, whether you don't like talking to people. If you don't like talking to people, then yikes. Another lovely question. How do you manage interruptions? So this is cool because if you have empathy in your system, you already have a way of managing those interruptions. So for me, I have 2 wonderful children and a wife and a friend who quite often interrupt me at mostly inopportune moments. But my system is designed so that if something comes up quickly and I need to just jot an idea down, I can quickly create that as a note. I quickly am able to just go, okay, here's something I need to think about later on. Okay, here's something I need to do later on. Here's something here. Come back to this. It sounds incredibly simple, I know, but, I love that. There's me. I never No, you never do. I never hear from you, ever. Danny's just gone, I need to send more messages then. And yeah, there is a point where at the moment I've only got a couple of people interrupting me, but when interruptions grow to a certain point, then I will revisit and adapt my system and be more flexible. If I suddenly get messages from Danny Hatcher every 5 flipping seconds, then my system will change. And also, as part of empathy, it's also employing a tiny weeny slither of your willpower, which, by the way, is a limited finite resource. So if your system supports you in not having to use your willpower, it helps even more. So how you manage interruptions, start by, if you can stop the interruptions, how can you reduce the interruptions? So my kids know when I have an open studio and a closed studio. This is a conversation, but it is part of my systems. Believe it or not, and I'm going to blow everyone's explodey brains now. Not everything needs to be in tech. I know that's a shock, but it's true. Lizzie's just put, some people are on mute on my system. Yeah, pretty much. Danny's one of them. So yeah, with my kids, I have a system with them, an understanding. I have an open studio and a closed studio. If my studio is open, they are welcome to come and speak to me. That is time that I have set aside for my kids to come in and be part of the conversation. If, however, I need to focus or I have a call or a live stream, then it's a closed studio. It's about finding what works. Because also in that example, there are 2 points of empathy. Well, 3, because I have twins, of course. There is empathy for my kids who need me, and empathy for me because I need to work. It's beautiful. It's lovely. It all comes down into a circle. That is another video. If there are any more questions, I don't think there are. I hope that answers your question, William, Will, whichever you would prefer. Sorry if you don't like Will. I don't know. Always difficult. I mean, if the door is open. I'm assuming you mean that if the door is open, you're available, and if the door isn't open, then I'm bossy. I'm always bossy as me. I never stop being busy. I know you mean busy. Not even, it doesn't often have to be a physical door. It sometimes is, it's a closed studio today, and often what happens, I wake up in the morning and I go, and they're like, oh, can I come in today? Can I come in today? Can I come and watch you work? I'm like, not today. I've got to get some work done, so it's a closed studio. But when it opens, I'll come and let you know. And the system isn't perfect. And I forget to say it's an open studio sometimes when I get caught into flow and get distracted and things like that. And then I employ empathy on the other side of that and go, okay, I have spent all this time and I've not spent any time with my kids. I am now shutting down because I can only do a certain amount a day. Energy management. All of it comes together. I like bossy. Busy bossy. Busy boss. Oh, yes. Well, thank you very much. Today's video was all around the 5 dimensions of systems. We have the traditional 3D view of systems, which is tasks and projects and all of that, actions and whatever you want to call it. Then we have the 4th dimension of time, which is where you can add in things like deadlines, because deadlines don't necessarily have to connect to the main bulk of your systems. And then finally we finish off with the 5th dimension, and it's all encompassing and is kind of helping with everything. It's the fact of empathy. We spoke about what it can involve. Things like adding space into your system, permission slips to stop working, or permission slips to push aside ideas and say, no, not today. I have got all of this in my plate. It was about being able to be adaptable and flexible. Being able to be adaptable and flexible with people. Understanding where they come from and where you come in. And being able to adapt your system to either fit the people around you in your sphere of influence. Another video coming soon. And being able to flex your system around what your needs are right now. And then finally, understanding your own struggles or your client struggles if you're a system designer, and helping people to, helping you to support your struggles, to support the things you can't do yourself. Because no matter how amazing we are not binary, we are not zeros and ones. We are a complex system of things that work in different ways, and every single one of us has different needs. We cannot just rely on being... We can't paint everyone with the same brush. Everyone has different needs. Everyone has things that they struggle with. Some people have more things that they struggle with than others. And so by having empathy and understanding of that system and the systems around you, it will help you more. But that's a whole nother topic. Well, anyway, thank you very much for joining me on my first live stream. I said it was going to be 15 minutes, but as always, it's 30 minutes. Because, you know, it could have been 3 hours, but it won't be, because I'm well behaved. Just one more point, gonna put back my empathy. I lose it sometimes working with some people too long. Fantastic. Understand that about yourself. Help yourself with that. Ooh, hello. It blacked out there. That was a bit scary, wasn't it? If you know you lose empathy and that awareness is there, you're able to adapt your system to support you there, which may mean you don't work with people long term. You do short bursts. That's the cool thing, is you can change your system at any time, understanding what you struggle with, and then adapt and flex your system around you and your needs. It's delicious. It's wonderful. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me on my first live stream in like ages. There will be more. In fact, I think they're going to be weekly. No, they are going to be weekly. I'm going to be coming back with some weekly live streams every Friday. around the 2 o'clock-ish time. And we'll be talking more about not just the practicalities of how to do systems, but also the higher levels of running your own business and understanding that sometimes you don't need advice. What you need is things like empathy and understanding and support and the pieces that most people don't think about, just like this topic here. William has just put, I'm very glad to hear you again. Thank you very much. I am very glad to see you again. It is, I have missed this very much, and I'm glad that I'm coming back to do more of these very soon. Thank you very much to everyone who's been watching, and I will see you guys next week.